Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I'm recording with Leandro Dallemulle. I did not ask how to pronounce your last name.
That's
General
good.
Manager at Planck. Leandro, how's it going today?
Very good, Tony. Good to see you again. We were just together last week, so we kind of see
Yes,
each other at
I
least twice a month, I guess.
yeah, correct, because I also see
At
you
least twice a month.
at AppliedNet. So for the listeners, this is a really interesting one because both Leandro and I could have sworn that we recorded an episode early on in Planck's life, and neither of us can find it. So apparently, we had the conversations and we just never did record the episode.
It's
Uh,
in our memories.
so we will do it. So basically, uh, if the episode exists somewhere out there, it's old enough that like we have to dig into it. So we'll go from the beginning. We'll start right the story of what Planck does. So we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Planck?
Okay. We are still an AI-based platform for commercial lines underwriting. That's the 10-second pitch. That's what we do. That's what we've been doing. That's what we were doing 7 years ago. It is just how sophisticated we've become in the last 6 years. That's the big difference, right? But the focus has been the same up until now.
So
that being said, up until the acquisition, right?
And recently acquired by Applied. So one quick interesting point. So you guys were an AI company a good while before the generative AI craze of the last couple of years, right? So one of the OGs, so to speak. So commercial lines is incredibly broad, right? Because basically every business requires insurance. What type of businesses are your tools designed to help underwrite?
Yeah. So I'm gonna zoom in into sort of a definitely small, medium business. That's the sweet spot. When it becomes larger, multi-location businesses, more medium to large. And again, the definition of what is small, what is medium, what is large, varies, as you know, carrier by carrier. But along the lines of single location or not, or a couple locations, small, medium businesses across different segments, to answer the second sort of part of your question. It is like we still do not cover every single industry segment or class, but we cover the 80% of the classes out there. For example, when we probably first spoke 6 years ago, it was mainly restaurants and bars, right, and taverns, right? Now we have expanded to contractors, healthcare, auto services. We have what we call now sort of a horizontal solutions or insights, which is like workers' comp, which cut across different classes of business, not specifically to one of them, so on and so forth. So we've expanded the segments, and then we also went deep into each segment, right, in terms of the insights that we can generate.
Yeah. So the original version, where it all started, right? Restaurants and bars.
Yes.
How how does it help underwrite restaurants and bars?
Yeah, I'll give an idea. Let's use some examples, right? So let's say Tony's restaurant on Thursday nights. Let's say that you hire a DJ, and the DJ shows up at 11. I'm making stuff up. And some people put some tables aside and they start dancing. 11 p.m., dancing, tables, slippery floor. You see where I'm going with this. Now, is it easy for an underwriter to identify that kind of risk given the standard supplemental application they're getting or they're doing online, right? Or it's just getting a quote in 3 seconds? How much information are you really being able to use? Or is the agent providing that, right? Is the business owner providing that? That's where we come in. That's one example, right? So we're saying, okay, we're going to scan the digital footprint of that restaurant, Tony's restaurant, right? And we're going to catch everything. So everything is on the web, publicly available information, game on. We'll bring it in, we'll digest that, we'll collect the data using AI, not super sexy, but it's AI, right? What we collect, what we digest, and what we spit out as an insight. It's all part of different AI and different models. But that's sort of the core of it. So that's that's where the value is. It's be able to find maybe social media postings that have people dancing, and perhaps they're holding, beer bottles while they're dancing at the DJ, but it shows up, once, every month on a Thursday. So how do you track that? So we can track that. We can find everything.
All right. So that's where it started. Now that
Correct.
we're able to help underwrite 80% of classes, which is an incredibly broad
Mhm.
types of wide swath of types of business. Uh, is it all basically what it can find on social media for all those other classes?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
basically,
And the thing is, and I remember that was probably 6 years ago. I was talking to one of our prospect carriers. And I remember that the person, I think it was the chief underwriting officer at the time, he said, well, but you're dependent on the data that is on the web. I'm like, yes, we're not going to hack into anybody's Facebook or anything like that. Whatever is publicly available. He's like, yeah, but don't you think, which was a very interesting question 6 years ago. Today, I think people don't ask that question anymore, but he said, don't you think that with all these privacy concerns that this data is going to go away? And I said, no, the contrary. Even if you don't talk about yourself, people talk about you, right? I'm sure I can find a lot of stuff about you because not necessarily we are posting anything. We are not, but people are, right? So contractors is a good example for that. A lot of contractors don't have a website, right? They're not going to, it's a one-man shop and he has a little truck and he goes around. But his customers are posting reviews. They go to Yelp, they go to BuildZoom, they go to other sources, right? And to the extent that there's publicly available information and others are talking about you and your service and your company, we'll bring it in, right? The big difference, because I think you hinted that question maybe come next, or this is part of your question. Back then, from today, what has really changed, besides the fact that we increased the number of classes, right? But that's more of the same. What we've really done with the new technology, and Gen AI specifically, is be able to open the black box. What do I mean by it? At the very early stages, right, of Planck, the models were just giving you an answer, right? We're saying, do you have live entertainment? Yes, no, or I don't know, right? And then we evolved to, okay, we need to give some sort of evidence. And then we're providing some of the links the machine found, right? Some of the sources. Not ideal, because then the other writers say, okay, great, now I have an answer. So I can go back to the agent or the business owner. But oh my God, I have 10 links. I have, as a human, a machine is one thing doing it. A human is a whole different story. I have to review 10 links. It's going to take me more to underwrite this $3,000 policy. So yeah. Fast forward to Gen AI, feed to Gen AI, and it produces a human-like explanation of why the model is saying what it's saying. And that is huge, right? Regulatory purposes, or just to give confidence to the user, to the underwriter in our case. And that is sort of what has really evolved from back then, restaurants, insights, more classes, yeah, more of the same. But now we're talking when we launched this platform that we call Plus, Planck Plus, 1 year ago at the ITC. So it was almost it was actually a year because the ITC last year was October 31st. And if you recall, you may recall this because you have a good memory. Our booth was completely closed, right? We created that closed booth. That was the idea, right? Once you're invited in, we expanded. We wanted to open the AI black box to really foster utilization. That's what it is, right?
Okay. Congratulations on the acquisition. Applied has been active in acquiring insurtechs and integrating them into its services. Planck is a particularly interesting one from my perspective, because the other ones that I can remember were very agency focused. Planck, from my perspective as a former underwriter, is very underwriting focused. Uh, so yeah, tell me about the acquisition.
Yeah,
How did it make sense to
you spot on, right? Do we have a couple of agencies that were interested in our product? Yes, in the last year, because of the UI, right, the easy to use. But spot on, right? Our focus was carriers up until more officially 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. And Applied is the leader in agents management systems and et cetera. So you're correct. What we saw, both companies saw, is sort of the opportunity to support Applied get stronger. And that means it's directly working with Ivans, right, on the carrier front. So that's one. Also, Applied could benefit from our AI experience and our team. And I'm referring to the team primarily based in Israel, right? So our experts are AI experts, and now we're all part of Applied, so we're going to be able to build AI-driven solutions for Applied. And from our perspective, we are now working on a product for agents, right? Which uses the same foundational technology that we had, but it doesn't have an underwriting focus, right? It has an agency focus. The name of the product that is coming live, I can say the name at least, very soon in the next Q1, I'll say Q1 next year, is called Applied Book Builder. So the Applied Book Builder, as the name implies, will help the agents build their book of business, expand their book of businesses, right? Upsell and cross-sell more effectively using our platform. So that's coming. So it was like we had this better together story, and there are many components to it, right?
Hey, so using your AI technology, Applied Book Builder coming up Q1 of next year.
Yep, fresh to you. I mean, we haven't announced. We did mention at ApplyNet, but it was very. So yeah, we're working on it as we speak.
Okay, definitely look forward to have you back to dig deeply into that once it's about to come out or has just come out. All right. So you're a veteran now in the insurtech space.
Yeah.
7 years. What are the benefits that we can expect that AI and now Gen AI will bring to insurance underwriting and distribution?
Yeah, I think well, there are several, right? So the technology itself, I give you an example, right, that we leveraged. We were the first ones to leverage sort of the transparency. We all talk about it. We know it's important, but we can actually do something about it. So that's one. And that's the technology itself, just to use the technology, making people more comfortable using it, and from a regulatory perspective, also a little bit more transparent, more clear. But if you think that, because you're right, we've been doing this for many years, right? Which is not you were at the ITC. I talked to a bunch of people there as well, and there is this myth. You're gonna have an idea, you're gonna have a startup, and in 2 years or maybe one, you're gonna get acquired, you're gonna become a unicorn, and you retire, right? You go to the beach. It's not like that, right? To your point, yeah, we've been we've been product, market fitting the, AI into insurance for 7 years nonstop. Now, what I think has changed is it was pretty much the first 5 years until OpenAI, came up with that and kind of changed how people see it. It was really bottoms up for us, right? It was like talking to the underwriters, and then kind of going up. Now we see a lot of top down, meaning boards, C-level are always they're being bombarded by AI, and there is the top down interest pressure. Say, okay, what is this, right? What does it mean for insurance? What happens if we don't do it? Or what happens if we do it? And that is a whole different dynamic. I think, it was a lot of, before it was a lot of more technical talk, right? Yeah, we have a machine learning model that was trained on this, and we had that the data, and we train it. Now we can get these foundational models, and the results are seen much faster, right? So that makes people feel it, right? More tangible in their own lives as well, right? Think about it. A Planck, or yeah, it was a machine learning model developed to find beer bottles in. It was very specific. Now you and I, or I would say my parents, but definitely not my parents. They're too old for this, but anybody can use ChatGPT, right? And they have that different interaction with technology. That has changed the game, really. I think that's on a broader picture on how our industry is gonna feel it. It's feeling it. I mean, we can.
So we're definitely seeing, in my world, every interview I do nowadays is saying they're doing AI, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to know who is for real and who is the little API call to ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's just a wrapper.
And I'm sure that the leadership in our industry doesn't want to be left behind, really. But how much actual adoption is happening in our industry, and how successful is that adoption going?
I'm going to base my answer on not my gut feel, on a report. I'm not going to mention whose report is, from this very renowned company, and that's now 4 months old. But they were showing that insurance, not surprising, is the last in terms of adoption from POC to production, right? And that was the number that I remember. It was 18%. And banking, I remember, was second to last, by the way. So banking is not much better, but it was like somewhere around 30%. I mean, POC to production. That being said, I take it with a lot of salt, right? Not just the grain, a lot of salt. What surprised me in that report, it was the steepness of adoption within insurance. So we're behind, or we were behind. I don't know this, but according to the report, but it went from 0 to 18 very fast. Well, that's one. Now, I think there is a nuance to that. And I've been talking about this for a while, is if you say you have AI, what does it mean? Everybody has AI, to your point. We saw the ITC. I've never seen so many new brands. And I've been going for 6-7 years to the ITC. Never been, right? There were new names everywhere. What do you really talk about? Or what is AI? What do you have? I'm saying this because I've seen some carriers who are saying, yep, we got the pressure, board is asking, CEO is asking, look, we have AI. What? I have Copilot. We have our own Copilot, which is like, doesn't exist. Serious, real case. We have Copilot. It's our Copilot. Like, there's not such a thing, but that's fine. It was not even fine-tuned for the company, but that's fine. But we can use it. We're good. And I'm like, no, it's not what we mean. And that's huge, right? Because people are saying, and some of these companies that are out there, to your point, they're saying, I have a product here. Take it. We never said that, right? Why? It's so much bigger, right? It's talk about AI is a technology. And as a technology, you're not going to buy you can do it actually. You can have Copilot. That's not going to solve your problems, right? May solve some problems here and there. It's cute, but you need to understand the process. You need to integrate with the process. You need to change the technology in the back, right? To fit. So it's a whole more complex environment if you want to benefit for real, right? If you're talking about the real stuff here, not just the Q2 that you have. My employees use ChatGPT. Great, right? But so yeah, and you don't need those tools for everything, right? You got a model here. So it's a much more complex conversation. And I think to answer really your question, how do you know? I think time will tell very quickly these days. If those companies have this one-off product that it's really an off-the-shelf thing, it's like, and some people are going to buy it, but it won't last. That's my guess, right? I think some companies are going to say, okay, got it, thank you. But it's going to be a one-off, application, one more application on your phone or one more application on your screen. And it's not going to be, the value won't be there. So very quickly, they're going to say, okay, I don't see any value, bye-bye, right? The value is going to come from the technology being integrated in these processes.
Okay. So AI can look to us non-technical users like a real black box. Yeah. And I can only imagine what it looks like to our regulators in our highly regulated industry. So how do we keep AI, number one, ethical, and number two, compliant in our heavily regulated, messily regulated industry?
Yeah. I thought about this. So this is my personal opinion. So I'm going to protect the innocent in my answer. But I think that, being in regulated industry for many, many years, not in insurance, but in banking as well. Nothing against my fellow regulators, but it's going to be very hard for them to catch up, right? At the pace that this technology is changing, it's hard for me to catch up. Every week there's something, oh my God. And this week, Anthropic just released their agent that's called computer use and can actually do things, not just recommend you how to do things, right? So it's like, that was this week. Last week was something else. So how, as a regulator, how are you going to catch up and then create regulation about it? Because I think it's impossible, or it's very, very hard to do. So I think my thought process, not necessarily a recommendation, is, but I'm thinking we need to self-regulate the industry, not just us. Yes, especially us, because we're so regulated in every state. We need to self-regulate as an industry, right? And I mean carriers, agents, insurtechs. We need to get together and we need to self-regulate to avoid bigger problems in the very near future. Because if we sit, around and we say, okay, we're going to wait for the next regulation to come. We're going to be waiting for a long time, but problems are going to start arising, right? From ethical issues, to your point. It could be ethical issues or, who controls what AI is doing. We need to do it ourselves, right? To protect our customers. And to keep evolving. If we don't do it, I think we're going to hit a wall. And we shouldn't rely on the regulators. I mean, think about it, right? President Biden issued an executive order was last year about AI. It's amazing. You read it without getting any political, but it's just read it and like, wow, that's cool. So AI cannot do this, cannot do harm. That is great. I think everybody agrees with it. But how, right? That's beautiful piece of paper. How? And then people don't know how, to your point, right? Or the EU, which went probably, my opinion, again, way overboard and controlled so much that now the new iPhone cannot be sold there, right? Because they have Apple Intelligence and it's not allowed. So the customers are now, they can't get the latest technology because of the regulation. So again, that would be my thought. We need to self-regulate. We need to understand as an industry through our industry associations. NAMIC, the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies, one of them, right? So maybe the mutual, I'm making stuff up, but maybe the mutuals, and I talked to dynamic folks, right? We're good friends to the organization. Get the mutuals together, right? That's the voice, right? You come together. Other industry associations can do the same, and then we can think about this together.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
As all this AI technology gets fully implemented in our industry, will it kill a lot of jobs, or will it
That's a good
enable us
question.
to do our job much
Yeah,
better?
look, I think initially, right, it will just make us more productive, right? We've been thinking even before, right? Before the Gen AI days, one of our mottos was, I want to make you, Mr. Underwriter or Miss Underwriter, a superhero. I'm gonna give you superpowers because look, it could be a Google search superpower, right? You don't have to spend 40 minutes Googling. I'll give you everything, right? And you can be 3 times, 4 times, 10 times more productive. Over time, some industries are going to feel it. Let's be clear here. Let's not sugarcoat anything. Right? There are industries that are going to get hit because the technology will do it. I just talk about the agent, right? The first agent that, or one of the first, that Anthropic released this week. It's doing things. It creates a website in, I don't know, 10 seconds, right? And you don't have to do anything. You just say create a website. So you will see a lot of that. And I think as any technology, it's not unique to Gen AI, right? It happened before, right? It happened when, every single major, like industrial revolution, it was about that, right? A lot of it, okay, now we have machines. We don't need 100 people to build it. We can build with 20. This other 80 people went on to do something else. And there is the adaptation period. I think it's fool ourselves to say, yeah, everything's going to be smooth. There will be. One thing that I like to think and believe is we as human beings love to consume stuff, right? I think the more we given, the more we want. So to the extent that we increase productivity with AI, it doesn't mean necessarily that, oh, okay, now we're doing the same with less, which will be part of it, right? Part of it will be, I'm going to do the same with less because now I have all these AI guys doing it for me. But I think a more powerful force is our need, right, to have more and to consume more that's the other force, right? So at the same time, yeah, we're going to be doing the same with less. We're going to be doing more now, given with this technology. So there are probably things that you and I'm sure, cannot think about that will be a thing, right? And like we couldn't fathom, like the people, I'm old. People are making money with YouTube. What is the?
Yeah,
that was completely right. Think about it, really, or playing games. So that's the beauty, right? So at the same, we're gonna have that, and there will be an adaptation period for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So last question I had was the future plans of Applied and Planck together. So you mentioned,
I'll give you a hint. Yeah.
you mentioned the book builder.
Yep.
Any other comments about the future of Applied and Planck together?
Yeah, there's one more. As an AI company, we love data, right? We always love data, and a lot, right? Our co-founder has said that we're a data-hungry beast, right? And we are. Now, with our new home, they have a lot of data.
Yeah.
They have a lot of data. So we're super excited about it, right? Our data scientists and modelers and programmers in Tel Aviv are like salivating. It's like, now I have all this. Before we had to, I'll give an example, right? Before we had to tag our own data to train the models. So a lot of it was, even I was like, at some point, okay, I'll tag this, right? So we create the golden source, feed the models, right? Now we have it. And yeah, it may not be perfect, but it's so much of it. So from a statistical perspective, and just the last point is, and I just mentioned this briefly, but Ivans is amazing, right? If you think about Ivans as this hub, and the number of transactions that happen there on a given day are just incredible. The lawyers are working on it, right? Because again, tapping into this data source is a whole different ball game. But there's so much, the potential is so huge that we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this right? We're gonna make sure, of course, we can use the data that we're gonna use, but it's there, right? And we're seeing that as a one of the best things that could happen to us.
Makes sense.
Getting more data.
With Applied being the largest AMS, and with Ivans being the exchange, I would guess that this is the largest collection of insurance data, at least agency side, in the US. I
think it's a pretty reasonable guess. I would guess too. I'm not sure for a fact. I don't know, but yes, it's hard to believe it's not, right? Given the Applies market share plus Ivans, and yeah.
So
now we're excited about that.
So now that Applied has embedded this very experienced team of AI, what do you guys call them? Scientists? With experience in our industry, it should result in amazing advances.
That's what we hope. That's the plan. That's part of the plan.
Makes perfect sense to me. Leandro, thank you very much for your time today.
My pleasure. And we did it. We recorded this time, so we're sure we did it. 5 years from now, 6 years from now, if we both forget, I'm gonna make sure I save it somewhere.
Perfect. I will get this posted quickly, as in
right.
So that whatever happened last time, we can get around.
It's good.
To happen again.
I'm with you.
So thank you very much for your time.
Yep. My pleasure, man.
And I'll see you around in the.
I'll see you soon. I'm sure. Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye.